A few weeks ago, after another humbling defeat, I was sitting on the couch thinking of ways to beef up my Mordor army. I was looking through the Armies of Lord of the Rings book, looking for units that might give me the advantage in some upcoming tournaments. That was when I stumbled across the Black Numenorean. Fight 4, Defense 6, terror causing, perfect for the front lines. The only problem? These models just don't exist. Like a lot of Middle-earth strategy battle game models, the Black Numenoreans are out of production, meaning they're not currently available to buy on their website. And that is where we come to the topic of today's video. Hi guys, I'm Rab from Rabtastic Paints, and today we're going to talk about 3D printing. Now, I am not the voice of morality or even the voice of reason. I'm just here to give my opinions on 3D printing and its place within the community. Now, I've previously made a video about 3D printing. It was one of the first videos on the channel, I think, ever since I pivoted into making miniature content. And in that video, I was coming at it from a painter's perspective, where my opinion was if you wanted to get better at painting and learn how to paint different things, 3D printers were great because you could very cheaply print off models, hone your technique and get better. So has my opinion changed now that I've started actually playing the games? To put it simply, no. If I turn up to a tournament and every single unit that my opponent puts down is 3D printed, I'm not saying a thing. We are in the middle of a global recession. Not only that, this is a very expensive hobby. If my opponent decides to save some money by 3D printing some models, I don't care. It makes zero difference to my life. Of course, it's not really as simple as that. If tournament organisers want to insist or make rules that you use official GW models for their tournaments, you have to stick by their rules if you want to play in that tournament. Of course, I should have said up to this point that I'm strictly talking about proxies, not direct rip-offs of GW material. Even though they're $1 billion company, I still believe in some sort of artistic integrity. You can't just steal their designs and print them off on the cheap. That's theft. I won't shed any tears for people stealing GW's IP, but it's a tough one. Like, if someone stole one of my artist friends' IPs, I'll be angry. So, you have to be angry if people steal GWs as well, otherwise you're a bit of a hypocrite, and I don't really like to be an hypocrite. Speaking of which, the models you see me printing, washing and painting today are Dark Runamorians from Quartermaster 3D on my mini factory. I'll include a link in the description below. And I know there'll be some people who will say, but Rab, by printing these models and using them, you're taking money out of GW's pocket because you should be buying the Black Numenoreans. The ones that are out of production. Trust me when I say that there are a lot of people who would much rather take the easy way and just buy the model. 3D printing is fun, I love it, but it's not without its flaws. It takes a lot of time, and the time it took me to print these models, wash them, cure them, dry them, I could have went to my local games workshop and bought the model. If it's stocked MESBG stuff, never mind the out of production stuff. Not only that, 3D printing, you're doing a lot of hazardous chemicals. There are people who simply do not want to get involved in that, and that's fair. I can understand that. It is much, much simpler to go online, click buy now and wait. And that's where we come to the conundrum of out of production models. I want to give GW my money, but they don't want to take it, so what am I left to do? There's certainly a thriving resale market on Etsy, eBay and other such sites, but as you can see by the price, it's even more expensive than GW. And GW don't see any of this money, it goes straight into the pocket of the resellers. So how are you going to tell me that this is the morally correct choice to make? And just to clarify, out of production models are still tournament legal. They're not banned from any tournaments that I've ever attended or known about. So should I and anyone else who got into the hobby after these models went out of production and don't want to spend a fortune buying them from resellers, be at a disadvantage because we are not allowed to field the units that we want to use. I'm not saying that Black Numenorians are going to suddenly turn me into the number one player in Scotland, but I would still quite like to use them. So how is that fair? Now this is all just hypotheticals because every tournament I've attended so far has been pretty relaxed, pretty chilled when it comes to 3D printed minis or proxies. No tournament organiser yet has inspected my models with a magnifying glass. But if they were, then would they be giving an unfair advantage to people who had been in the hobby longer and been able to buy the models when they were in production? Would they be unintentionally gatekeeping the hobby from people who are unable to get these out of production models and maybe want to run theme armies? I honestly don't know. It's such a complicated topic, but I felt like I had to talk about it because there's a lot of talk again going on YouTube about 3D printing and the potential harm it could have, if any, to Games Workshop and the hobby, and also the benefits it gives to the hobby, like I said, making it much more accessible for people who maybe can't afford or physically can't get to stores. It gives them the option to print off their own models and play their own games. However, in all of this conversation, I have not seen many people talking about it from the MESBG community, and I think we're hit even harder than Warhammer. I hate saying it because it's said all the time by haters online, but it sometimes feels like Games Workshop have sort of flung MESBG in a dark corner and forgotten about it at times, whereas 40k, Age of Sigmar, even Fantasy, which is coming back I think, or Old Worlds, I don't know what it's called, I like the models but I don't know anything about the game, gets a lot of publicity and gets brand new models every week. We don't really get much, and so many of our models are out of production or just simply hard to get. If they're not made to order or Forge World, you're going through third parties to get them. So how are we supposed to not 3D print if it's an option, especially an easy option? Now, I don't like complaining without offering solutions, so here are two of my solutions to the problem that I have maybe just created myself in my own head. The first solution, and it's not going to be a popular one, is to simply ban the use of out of production models in competitive play. Now, I don't like this option because I feel it's very heavy handed, but it does level the playing field for new players entering the game. The second solution, which I feel is a lot fairer, is that you simply allow proxies to be used for out of production models at all levels of competitive play. Now, I realise that neither of those solutions are perfect. One of them is incredibly heavy handed and punishes people for models that they already own, and potentially ruins some people's armies that they've spent years building and making. And the second option relies on GW accepting 3D printing as, the future. The ideal scenario is that Games Workshop bring back all of these out of production minis, even if they're made to order. Then everything we said in this video doesn't matter anymore. The real dream scenario would be that they make all the STL files for the minis available to purchase on the website, but I almost said that with a straight face. Until then, I guess I'm just going to have to get used to life of crime. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care.